I think there's about 40 of us already gathering. Michaela, Jane, Veronica. Great. Really good. Greg. Hi, Greg. Yeah, do a wave. Good. Great. Oh, really lovely to see everybody. Hi, Maitrikaya from Dublin. Hi, Vishvantra again. Vishvantra was here with me at 7 o'clock this morning for the morning meditation. Great. Good. Hi, Bodhinaga. Great. Good. From Sheffield. Hi, Julie. Gosh, Ireland's very well represented. I can see a lot of my Dublin and Irish friends as well as everyone else. That's great. Good. So welcome, everyone. Really, really warm welcome. And again, to say if this is your first retreat, and I don't know you in person yet, really I want to say extra special welcome to you. And yeah, well done. We're just about to start day 2 of, well, sort of day 3, but second full day of our retreat. It's underway already. Some of you will have been at the morning meditations. I hope that's going well. Hi, Tuya Mitra. Tuya Mitra's given us our thought for the day today. So hope you've all had a chance to listen to Tuya Mitra's thought for the day. Very, very apt. Yeah. Really, really good to see everyone. So we're not quite, so I might just move the cloak so I can see it. There it is, 9:59. So we're not quite at starting time yet. So just give it another few moments. Well, look, there's 132 of us now, miraculously. That's great. You could maybe show me a few more screens. I've got my tech helpers, wonderful Guillaume and Michael, who've been doing loads behind the scenes. So that's marvelous. Oh, good. Really, really good to see everyone. Oh, somebody's asking what the thought for the day is. Maybe the team could, somebody, Michael or Guillaume can flag that. That goes out with, I think, with my email that I send you when you've signed up for the retreat. Yeah. Good. Great. Okay, good. So welcome everyone. So we're at 10 o'clock now. People will probably keep joining us for the next few minutes, but really, really warm welcome to you again. I've seen some of you this morning, or you've seen me at least at the 7 o'clock meditation, and yeah, great that you're here now for this 10 o'clock. So in this 10 o'clock slot, it's like a meditation workshop. So we're assuming in this thought that you've been to the sessions about learning to meditate. So I won't be teaching meditation. I'll be sort of looking at ways to go deeper in meditation and in this, just to let you know. So the format is I'll talk for a bit and probably won't talk too much because I really want to give us plenty of time to actually meditate. Yeah, then we'll meditate and I'll lead us into that. That'll take us up to 11 o'clock. And then at 11 o'clock, there's breakout groups. And I've got really, really important instruction for the breakout groups. Yeah. Well, the first instruction is really encourage you to go to the breakout groups and really encourage you to don't be shy and keep have your video on for the breakout groups if you can. So that's the first super important instruction is, yeah, do join in with the breakout groups. It's just a great chance in a smaller group to just share your experience of your meditation and of the retreat. And in your breakout group, there'll be a team member who's been meditating for longer. So they'll be able to, give you some tips or so on. So that's the first super important instruction. But then the next one is the practicalities of that. So I want you all to listen very, very carefully. So, and especially listen very, very carefully if you're from the Dublin, Cambridge, Sheffield, or Brixton Sangha, yeah? So everybody from the Dublin, Sheffield, Cambridge, and Brixton Sangha, this instruction is for you. So at 11 o'clock, on the absolute dot of 11 o'clock, there'll be a link in the chat box for you to follow, and that will take you to a breakout group for your own center, yeah? And we need you to do that on the dot, because then everybody who's left will be automatically put into the London Buddhist Centre breakout groups, yeah? So we need you to be, it's like that toad Maitreya Banda was talking about yesterday. You know, the toad is sitting very still and meditative, but when a fly comes by, the toad sticks its tongue out really quick and catches a fly. So that's what you want to be like. Yes, you'll have been doing all this lovely meditation, but then you have to be ready to catch the fly, as it were. In other words, go to your breakout group. So I hope that instruction is clear for everyone from Dublin, Sheffield, Cambridge, and Brixton. Everybody else, actually, you don't need to do anything, yeah? So hope that's clear. I'll say it again when we get to 11 o'clock, but I just wanted to flag that up so you know what to do for the breakout groups, yeah? Good. So then again, before I talk about approaches to meditation, which I'm going to do in a moment, I just wanted to also talk about just a bit more about the art of being on retreat, and especially what to do between sessions, yeah? Because here we are, we're all on retreat, but it's a sort of unusual retreat in that we haven't gone away to a retreat centre or a place in the country that we nearly always would for retreat. We're being on retreat in the middle of our own real actual lives, which is actually quite good, because it's like an urban retreat. It's like it shows us that we can actually practice in our real life, you know, we don't have to wait for some fantasy life in order to practice mindfulness and metta. We can do that right here. But there's an art to that. And especially the art of, we've got lots of sessions throughout the day, these workshops, yoga, study, it's different things, and there's time in between those. There's a gap in the afternoon and a gap in the evening. So how to spend that time? What is the art of that? So, and I think you're probably going to fall into two categories. One, there'll be people that have got quite a lot of time. You've maybe been able to take the week off work, or you're not working. And other people will still be in the midst of work. I am actually. You'd never believe actually how busy you can be working at a Buddhist centre. So I'm kind of, I'm sort of doing my day job, as it were, in between sessions, and some of you will be as well. So if you're not working, or you've been able to take the time off work, then you have more time during the afternoon and so on. So how to spend that time? So in a way, what I'm going to suggest is, well, first of all, almost some things not to do. So try not to be online too much in that time. Really try and reduce input in that time. So that might mean even switching your phone off or your laptop off during that time. Simple things like maybe if you're going for a walk, often we're going for a walk and we're listening to something, even listening to a Buddhist talk or something. But actually, even that can end up being a distraction. What about just going for a walk without your headphones on, if you're able to go for a walk? Eating a meal without sometimes I'm eating a meal if I'm on my own, I've got like a magazine or a book propped up, while I'm eating, but it can be lovely just to simply eat a meal, so see if you can reduce input, and that will give space to connect with those moments of beauty that we've been sharing with each other, that Atulya Mitra has been talking about in the thought for the day. Yeah. So just really see if you can have a day of reducing input, and then make sure that sometime in the day you do nothing at all. Yeah, it's actually quite a difficult practice doing nothing at all. But see if you can take 10 minutes or 15 minutes or even half an hour just to sit in your chair or sit on a bench in the park or in your garden if you can, and maybe have a cup of tea. But apart from the cup of tea, just do nothing at all. Just see if you can do nothing at all. So there's no aim to it. You're just sitting there. You're not asleep, so you're alert. You're a bit like that toad again, alert to your experience, but it's not for anything. So much of our life just becomes a sort of, I don't know, we're trying to do something worthy all the time. Even meditation can become a worthy thing to do to make me a better person type of thing, which isn't bad, but it's also missing something. So see if you can just have a bit of time today and every day on the retreat doing nothing at all, and see what happens actually when you do nothing at all. Yeah. So I really, really encourage that. It will definitely have an effect if you do that. And then if you are still doing your day job, as it were, like I am, just see if you can factor in just from time to time, just a little, we call it a breathing space or a mini meditation, just a few minutes where you can just, maybe turn away from your laptop or whatever and just tune in with yourself, notice your breath in your body, just notice the thoughts in your mind, what you're feeling, just for 2 or 3 minutes. That will actually have quite a big effect if you do that. I think when I remember to do that, it's like it keeps me being something like a sort of agent in my life instead of almost a kind of victim of all these emails that are flooding in and all this work where oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. If I can remember that breathing space, I'm like, okay, there is this work to do, but I'm alert to it. It's a sort of active response rather than a sort of more victim-y passive response of, oh my God, I can't believe how busy I am. Yeah. If you notice yourself with that thought of, oh my God, I can't believe how busy I am, then that's a cue that it's time for a breathing space, which will feel totally counterintuitive. So that will be, that'll take a bit of discipline to do that. And then even if you're working, see if you can take time to do nothing at all. Again, it will feel really counterintuitive if you're busy, but see if you can even have 10 minutes of doing nothing at all. So that's a little bit about what to do in between sessions. And that's great because that's you starting to, develop that art of being on retreat, even if you've never been on retreat before, or even if you have been on retreat. It's like us making the retreat our own, which means we're actually making our lives our own. Yeah. Which we really want to do with our life, don't we? We don't want to live somebody else's life or the life that somebody else has told us to lead. That's us. It's like we're then an agent in our own life. Yeah. Good. So what I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to continue on from what Maitreya Bandhu introduced yesterday. So what Maitreya Bandhu was saying yesterday, that through these morning sessions, all through the week, we were very, very keen to have a sense of progression through the week for these morning sessions. And the progression, in a way, is the classic progression in the Buddhist tradition, which is from Samadhi to Prajna. So just to remind us, like Prajna, if we were going to translate it, we would say wisdom, yeah? But Maitreya Bandhu was really arguing yesterday, and I agreed with him. He was arguing for leaving it untranslated, because as soon as we translate it as wisdom, we think we know what it is. Whereas if we leave it as Prajna, it means it's something more mysterious, yeah? Because it's more than wisdom. It's certainly more than something cognitive. Prajna is not primarily cognitive. It's a deeper knowing. It includes metta. It includes love, for example. So that is what the Buddha's life is lived for the sort of flowering, as it were, of prajna. And then we've got samadhi, and samadhi means something like energized calm. It's a sort of condition of being relaxed and alert. And that's why Maitreya Bandha was giving us this Zen image of the toad, which was great. I hadn't actually heard that before, amazingly, in all my years of this. But I really liked it, of the toad, sitting there, like a meditator, kind of really sort of squat on the ground. And you really, when you see a toad sitting, or imagine one, you've got this sense of just, sitting. But also there's the alertness, like if that fly goes by, the toad is like ready to catch it. Yeah. So the toad certainly isn't asleep. So that's a good image for samadhi. It's relaxed and alert. It's energized calm. And of course, we've got the image of the Buddha himself as really sort of exemplifying that, this energized calm, which is radiant. That's why the image of the Buddha is often painted gold, for example. It's radiant, energized calm. And these two, samadhi and prajna, are like wings of a bird, yeah? So usually we talk about cultivating samadhi first to create a fit mind for prajna to flower. That's the classic way we talk about it. Actually, but then what will happen is the prajna will feed back into samadhi, which will then deepen the prajna, yeah? It's not like they're sort of building bricks just stacked on top of each other. So this sort of other image of the wings of a bird is very good, actually. So you've got, obviously the bird needs both wings to take flight. So again, you've got this lovely sense of if you've got these two operational, then something can take flight, yeah? So today we're going to be continuing with cultivating samadhi. And then from tomorrow onwards, we're going to be more directly looking at prajna. But I'm hoping to bring in a touch of prajna today as well. So another way Maitreya Bandha was talking about samadhi yesterday was cultivating wholeness. And we've all experienced at least glimpses of this, what it feels like. And that's important, actually. We've all probably experienced this, for example, when we've just, seen something really beautiful. That's why it's lovely sharing these moments of beauty. When we're surprised by beauty, it's like we're surprised out of ourselves. We're surprised out of our usual, like, hankering after stuff, pushing other stuff away. We're just surprised out of that. At least for a moment, into a new kind of mind that feels sort of whole and simple and enjoyable and like, this is how I'm meant to live, isn't it? That's what you feel when you suddenly like see a sunset and you're just surprised out of yourself, or maybe come across walk into a gallery, and suddenly see something and it's like, really are so absorbed in a novel that you feel like the characters are as real as your actual friends. It's characterized by being a bit taken out of yourself, taken out of that small mind. So we've all had glimpses of that, I'm sure we have. Meditation is a way we can actually cultivate that. So it's not just left to chance. We can actually actively cultivate that. And Maitreya Bandha again was talking yesterday about, well, what kind of effort do we have to apply in order to cultivate that? we do have to have some effort, or else it would just be a matter of chance. It would just be sort of hit and miss, probably more miss than hit, as it were. But what sort of effort? So it's definitely not by trying harder, yeah? So easy, isn't it, to default to that, okay, I'm going to try harder. So it's not that, but neither is it just kind of, letting the universe take its course of just leaving everything to chance. So what kind of effort is it? So what we were doing yesterday, and we'll carry on doing this today, is we were actively looking for where we're holding on. And where we'll notice that holding on is in the body. Yeah? So we notice that in a way directly as sort of body experience. So we'll all have our habitual places where we tend to habitually tighten up. I notice it in my face and my hands particularly. I encourage myself to relax my face, very enjoyable sensation of the face relaxing. But then 2 or 3 or 4 minutes later, when I'm meditating, I realize it's just almost with a life of its own. It's tightened up again. My jaw's clenched again, my face is all tight again. And then, I encourage it to relax again. Same with my hands. So we can look for where we habitually hold on physically and just keep encouraging ourselves to soften. Yeah, we have to do that again and again. But it's also true that, and I think again, my Tribandhu touched on this yesterday, that any time we're distracted in meditation, that'll have a physical counterpart. So what will typically happen, this is what happens to me, and I'm sure it will be the same for you, is there you are, you start meditating, that's fine. And then somehow, some time later, you don't even know how long it is, you sort of come to, you think, like, where am I? It's a sort of, that's the experience of it, isn't it? You sort of come to, and you realize you're not meditating, you're thinking about something totally different. You don't even know how that happened, or else you're falling asleep. Yeah, you come to, you realize you've half fallen asleep, you're in some sort of dream, or you come to and you realize you're fantasizing about something, or in my case, probably going over some argument in my head, because I tend to be more of that type. And when you come to like that, that will have a physical counterpart, and that physical counterpart will be you'll have tightened somewhere. And as my Tribandhu was saying, even if you're falling asleep, that'll be accompanied by a physical tightening somewhere. So how I practice with this is the first thing I do is I just notice that, and then I see where I've tightened, and I just soften in that area. And then you're back, then you're back. Yeah? So there'll be direct sort of physical habitual areas of tightening. There'll be counterparts of our distractions in meditation. They'll also, if you can sort of really work with this and settle into stillness enough, you'll start to notice what I can only call a sort of existential tightening. You'll realize that eventually you realize that you're gripping on to a sense of me in the middle of it all, controlling everything. Yeah? That even that's a sort of gripping. Now that's subtle, and to say it's physical isn't exactly right, but it's like a sort of, but to say it's not physical isn't right either, because we've only got our physicality to feel things. So we feel it probably somewhere in the middle of ourselves. It's a sort of holding on to me in the middle of it all. And even that can be softened, yeah? Even that can be softened. So we can start to practice that today. The other thing I want us to practice today is to actively look for pleasure, yeah? So now we're adding a new thing in. We're looking for where we habitually tighten, And just softening, 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 all the way down to softening even this sense of it's me in the middle of it all, controlling everything. But also actively look for pleasure. This pleasure will be quite subtle. It won't be, I don't know, it won't be the same as the pleasure of, I don't know, eating a Kit Kat or something. It's going to be more subtle than that. So we have to, that's why we sit still in meditation and try and cultivate this alertness. But if you look, you will find it, you'll find pleasure. It can be as simple as just the touch of one hand on another. I can find that very, very pleasurable. My friend was talking about the energy in his hands. He feels that very, very pleasurable to tune into the energy of his hands. I also have been practicing recently tuning into the sensation of the backs of my hands. And strangely, if you do that, it can actually lead to a sort of softening again in the body that's very, very pleasurable. So you can look for pleasure. So, might be, one hand on another, might be the sense of your weight dropping down into the ground, sense of your face softening. So look for where you feel pleasure. And again, that you will feel that physically. Just actively look for that. In a way, that's the main instruction for this meditation. The first instruction is looking for where you're habitually tightening. But in a way, even more important than that is actively looking for pleasure. It's almost like two approaches to the same result in a way. And now where you find that pleasure, I'm going to risk one more instruction. But if it's too many instructions, just stick to the looking for pleasure one. I'm going to give you a choice. So you can either just simply enjoy that pleasure, and I would say for most of us, that's probably a good idea, is to just enjoy that, allow it to deepen, just enjoy that. That simple, innocent, wholesome pleasure is very, very important to find pleasure in meditation. That's what keeps us coming back to meditation. So the other instruction is if you're quite used to finding pleasure in meditation, if that's easy for you, there might be a few people that that's easy for. If you want to then take that deeper, you can lightly drop in the question, where am I still holding on? Yeah? Okay, but that's only for people for whom pleasure in meditation comes easily, yeah? Which I would guess, how many people are here? 271. I don't know how many that might be. It's probably about 10. I don't know. So if you're one of them, I'm just making that up as I go along. But if you're one of those 10 maybe who regularly and easily experience pleasure and bliss in meditation, you could look for where am I still holding on and allow and see if that will definitely take you deeper. But if you're the other 261, including me, that don't experience pleasure so readily or easily, just enjoy it, where you find it, yeah? So I hope that works as a little set of instructions for you. And as I say, the main one is looking for pleasure. Yes, softening into stillness and then looking for pleasure. So how we're going to do that is we're going to use the third stage of the mindfulness of breathing as our sort of anchor, just because that helps us. And we're going to meditate for half an hour. So, and we're going to really, I'll lead you into it. We're going to just keep practicing that, practicing relaxing into stillness, practicing softening, and especially practicing looking for pleasure. Yeah, and then that'll take us up to 11 o'clock. So let's all get ready to meditate. We're going to dim the lights here. So I'll say a bit at the beginning, but I might not say very much after that. So you can just work yourself. Okay. You can face your shrine, or you can look at the shrine here. Good. And you might want to dim your own lights. Good. Okay, so now closing our eyes. Maybe taking a few deeper breaths. Just to start to settle. And now really tuning into the base of our posture. And that means tuning into the actual sensations of our body with the cushions or chair and with the floor. So if you're on a chair, that'll be your feet flat on the floor. And particularly notice the quality of contact of your body with the chair or cushions. And notice particularly any tendency to be slightly bracing yourself, tensing as if you're about to jump up at any moment. So, for example, I'm noticing I'm doing that because I've just been speaking quite excitedly. But somehow, even though I'm sitting on cushions, I haven't quite arrived on them yet. And it's almost like I'm hovering above them a bit. So I'm just trying to encourage more and more of my weight to start to drop down into the cushions. Can't be forced, but can be encouraged and given time. The image I like is like a big sack of rice or sand, say. Big sack that someone's just dropped onto the floor. And then all the little grains are just finding their level. So the whole thing's getting more and more stable, steady, immovable. And then from that stable base, the rest of our torso is rising up. Our spine rising up in its own natural curves. Our head just poised and balanced. See if you can allow your face to soften a little bit more. See if you can allow your hands to soften a little bit more. You can tune into the backs of your hands as well as the palms of your hands. And notice if that has an effect on the body. Now, just noticing that your body is breathing. You don't have to make any effort to breathe. Your body is breathing all by itself, as it were. All you're doing is paying attention. So we're just going to sit here, aware of the breath, allowing the body to soften. And actively looking for pleasure. Being sensitive to pleasure in the body. Keep softening. Sensitive to pleasure. Now, for the last few moments, still sitting still with our eyes closed, just starting to allow our words to broaden. Body and its sensations. All the sounds we might be able to hear. Reaching after sounds, but just letting it come to us. Just spending a few moments just sitting here, not trying to do anything, trying not to do anything. Only effort just to be aware. And when you're ready, in your own time, opening your eyes and bringing the meditation to a close. Okay, good. Okay. Really good, everyone. Really good. So, yes, I hope that meditation was fruitful. And in a moment, we're going to go into our groups. And yeah, really encourage you to, just share